Hi there, and welcome to another edition of Premier Investments in Wealth Management. My name is Doug Wagner. I'm your host. And before I introduce the two gentlemen around the table with me today, I want to take a moment to find out if you're prepared for retirement. You get ready for the end of the year, right? I would imagine that you're doing things that you need to get through the winter wherever you are, but are you ready for retirement? It may seem like it's a long ways off, but it's closer than you think. And my friends at Premier Investments in Wealth Management can help you become prepared. Just go to premieriwm.com. Click Get Started, answer a few questions. They'll provide for you a one-page Premier Vision document. Think of it as like the roadmap. You did some traveling for the holidays, right? Well, we do it differently than we used to, where we actually had a roadmap. That's what this is. It's a one-page document, very visually oriented, but it's got goals for the short, medium, and long term, and it takes into account what your next step should be. premieriwm.com. Prepare for retirement. premieriwm.com. Click Get Started, or you can call and make an appointment today at 800-383-6590. Premier Investments in Wealth Management, named to Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Team. Joining me directly to my right, camera left, is Jonas Everett. He's a wealth advisor with over 30 years of investment experience in the investment industry. 30 years. Where does the time go?
Where does it go, Doug?
Yep. Coming up
Many
in 31.
years. Absolutely.
Good holidays on you, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It's good to
this
see
snowstorm, you know.
Oh.
What's going on?
The weather outside is frightful, but it's so delightful to be here with the president and wealth advisor at Premier Investments in Wealth Management. It's an accredited investment fiduciary, AIF, and a CEPA that stands for Certified Exit Planning Advisor. Over 22 years of experience in the investment industry. He's more powerful than the heat miser. He is the big kahuna, Roger Abel.
Thank you, Doug.
Roger, good to see you. How are you today?
I'm well. Good to see you. Good to see you as well.
Yeah, you've got the Premier Investments Wealth Management brand of gear. That's awesome.
I got the swag going today for sure.
Good deal. Well,
I'm getting ready to get out of this weather.
You really? Yeah, I'm about done. Too.
Disney cruise Saturday.
Real? Oh,
Yeah.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Hey,
Yeah.
can you tip Mickey Mouse over and see if he still has my credit card from 2019?
You and about 4 million other people.
That is way too good. Hey, Roger, good to start out with you. We've got listener questions again. Luke wants to know, my wife and I have two children who are 12 and 8. We've been saving in 529 since they were young, and the accounts have been boosted by contributions from grandparents over the years. We currently have about $85,000 in our 12-year-old's account and $52,000 in our 8-year-old's. I know we can change the beneficiary in an overfunded 529, but I wouldn't mind having that money myself instead. Is there a savings threshold you think makes sense to stop funding the 529s and redirect contributions elsewhere, like a brokerage account?
This is a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dilemma that good savers are tackled with. Yeah. I'm in a similar situation with my kids' 529 plans. They're a little younger. I think the first thing to remember, there's no universal cap on a 529 plan. There's nothing saying you can't put as much money in here as you want to. There's some limitations, but for all intents and purposes, you can't oversave.
Right.
There's a couple ways to handle this. First, you really need to break down and think about what are the costs of college going to be. So that's where you have to have a little bit of an accurate reflection of where is my child academically. And as a 12-year-old, you're probably starting to get a little bit of a grasp of what they like to do, what type of a student they are, what kind of habits. And I'm not saying you're determining at 12.
Right.
But if you're a below average student at 12, the likelihood that you're going to be above average student when you're 18 probably isn't there. And there's tests out there, obviously, kids are taking.
Yeah.
But try to figure out what you think it's going to cost. Okay, that's the first thing. So if you know your child's going to go to a private school because you went to a private school, probably not a reason to stop saving in a 529 plan. In this case, though, I'm assuming that's not the situation because they're already worried about it being overfunded. Correct? Okay. So there's a couple ways to tackle this. One, if you want to stop saving, you can, and you could put that savings into a brokerage account, as they mentioned. The only disadvantage of putting it into a brokerage account is that you lose the tax-free growth. of that investment.
Right.
Well, is that the end of the world? No. Most people are in a 15% capital gains bracket. So it's probably not that big of a deal, especially for the 12-year-old, because the 12-year-old only has 6-ish years to go to college. Well, they're probably putting in $250 to $300 a month based upon these numbers would be my guess. Just extrapolating some data. So you're only going to save another $18,000 plus interest. So it's probably not that big of a deal. That's step one. Step two, you could think about, if I do just continue to save in this 529 plan and my child doesn't use it or doesn't go to school, what's the worst thing that happens? This is your upside down question, Jonas. What's the worst thing that happens? You would pay penalty and interest only on the gains.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, guess what? You probably still have more money saved than you would have if you didn't start anything. So you're still better off.
Yeah.
So those are some things that I would think about when you're determining whether to switch. But I can tell you, in my family, we have this exact same dilemma. And it's trying to figure out what is the break or the cutoff when we're going to switch from 529 to a brokerage. And if I went out and ran, when my kids were born, I went out to our financial planning software, just plugged in their age, 4 years, tuition, room board. What's the cost? What do you think that was 9 years ago? 4 years in state, tuition, room and board.
That was probably 60,000.
Projected out 18 years in the future.
Oh, wow. That's probably half. I mean,
204,000. That was the projected cost.
Wow.
Which, if you add in room, board, tuition, University of Iowa, I want to say it's like 27,000 a year.
Yeah.
Well, I still have 9 years to go. So my guess is it's going to be pretty close.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm basing those numbers off of. And it doesn't all have to be covered by 529. I'm kind of living in the world that if I could cover 50 to 70% of that cost with the 529, the other 50 to 70% I could save in a brokerage or I can cash flow.
Right.
You know your personal situation. How could I cash flow this?
Or scholarships or something. I mean, a million other things.
Well, I went to Kirkwood for 2 years. That's pretty much free.
Yeah.
I mean,
community college.
Well, my dad
are
taught
much less
there.
Expensive.
Well, my dad taught there.
Yeah.
And I have a great story. So I wanted to go to a private college.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to use the name of the private college. I still would have liked to go to that private college. Went up there for a visit. It's in a hilly part of Iowa. And I never forget, my dad gave me the bag phone. This is back in 1996 or 97. You had the Verizon bag phone. It was like $1.25 a minute to talk on it. And my dad is like,
on the way home.
He's like, on the way home, you can call me, tell you how it went. So I went out with the football team the night before. They were the ones who hosted me. The next morning, I met with like the financial aid people. They're like, yeah, it's going to be $44,000. I'm like, oh, for all 4 years? And they're like, no. Per year. So I get out of this small town. I go up the hill, call my dad. He goes, you going there? I'm like, nah, I'm going to Kirkwood. I'm living at home. It's free. But what my parents did is they gave me allocated money for me to spend at college, paid for my in-state tuition. Like it was paid for. So the decision was, do I want to go $100,000+ in debt to get an education?
Right.
Because I had a budget. I think what's one thing that a lot of parents overlook, they don't give their kids parameters on where to go. Hey, we're going to provide X. If you want to go somewhere else, you're going to have to figure it out. Right. Unfortunately, most families just slide into college. They haven't planned for it. Like, oh, well, yeah, you're going to go. Here's your loan document. Talk to you in 5 years. Because my dad was an educator in the college school system, he already had a knowledge of what was going to happen. So it kind of guided that decision process. And I could have went there, but I would have had to take on the additional cost of doing it. That was easy for me. Yeah. I'm not going into debt.
No, not going into debt.
Yeah, having no plan is exactly what my wife and her family did with college. It worked out well, but you're exactly right, Roger. You're just, if you're planning on approaching college and just taking a student loan out, you're looking at, our family, we were looking at over $40,000 in student loan debt. And it was well worth it. I mean, don't get me wrong, but instead of getting a chest full of gold when I married Jody, it was a little bit different, and it was basically it worked out really well.
Dowry?
No dowry.
No dowry.
What is this?
But we rolled up our sleeves as a financial guy, and we made a plan to chip away at that student loan. And I love when we have questions like that, because I think that any type of a plan is better than no plan at all.
So I think I leave it like this, Luke. Once you take a look at your 529 and you believe your cost is reasonably aligned with what you have saved, then you could switch to the brokerage for any of those surprise things that may be out there. And then you'd still have the ability for you to keep that money if you didn't want to give it to the beneficiary.
And there's some psychology involved too. The 529 contributions could be automatic. So if he stops that, then he's going to have to automatically start a brokerage account contribution. So we really don't like to see, or at least I don't like to see, people stopping saving money in any situation whatsoever.
I believe that you should flip the switch. Like, we literally had this discussion in a car ride about a week ago. And it was, well, we'll just start saving it in their own. We have a joint brokerage account with a TOD endorsement. So if we both get hit by a car, it goes to that child. Is there a beneficiary on it? That's how we keep track of whose money's who.
Right.
And that's what we said. Well, if we're already saving it, why would we stop?
A couple of follow-up questions for you. What's a beneficiary change when they're talking about this in a 529? What does that do? How does that affect anything? You talked about changing beneficiary.
That's actually a very good question. 529. I don't tell you that often. 529 plans are, the ownership is by the person who set up the plan. So I own the 529 plan. The beneficiary is who will receive the funds. Okay. I can change, just like life insurance, a beneficiary at any time. So I'm going to use Luke's situation. Luke has a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old. Let's say Luke's 12-year-old has $85,000 still when they go to college. The 12-year-old doesn't go. They can change the beneficiary to the 8-year-old if they want to. So you can change the beneficiary.
And that's not a negative.
Nope, doesn't affect anything.
Okay, gotcha.
Nothing negative would happen until they pull money out for a non-qualified educational expense.
Okay.
And once again, the only negative is you're paying tax in an investment, which you would have paid tax of some kind if you had in a brokerage account.
Right.
The second negative is a 10% penalty on the gains.
Okay.
It's not that big of a deal. If you had 30,000 in gains, it's $3,000. You still had more money in your pocket by doing this than if you wouldn't have.
Okay. The other thing, too, is that I think that there are a lot of people who do know this, but there's some who don't know this. This is designed for 4-year and for community college. What happens if these individuals decide that, you know what, I'm going to go to the trades, or maybe I'm going to become an entrepreneur, or you know what, I'm just not going to use this at all, this child?
So first off, community college and 4-year, that's not correct. You can use it for vocational.
Okay.
For trades, as long as you're going to school.
You can use it for trades. Yep. Okay.
Also, you can use it K through 12.
Okay.
So let's say you have a 12-year-old and they're going to go to a very expensive private
Day
college.
School.
Yeah. You can use that for that as well. So there's latitude there. It's fairly flexible. You know, if you have room, board, books, tuition, food, pays for all that. Here's the one thing you can't do with it.
What's that?
Because everybody's trying to work the system.
Yeah.
You can't go buy a house for your kid that you own and your kid pays you rent from it.
Yeah. Okay.
That doesn't work. Trust me. I looked through the angles, Doug. I'm like, so do I buy a house and then they pay us rent?
Howell the third try that?
Exactly.
This 529.
That's interesting.
I'm sure Casey could come up with some complicated legal strategy.
Tell you what, Luke, it's a great question. Thank you for sending it in. But for me, the ultimate thing is get in touch with your friends at Premier Investments in Wealth Management. How many times have they run through and around and over these situations? They've got it covered from soup to nuts. So rather than you having to crunch the numbers and answer all the questions, that's something that they can do. Get your financial plan together, especially because it sounds like you've done such a good job saving for your kids up to this point. Your financial plan can include this, plus your retirement. PremierIWM.com is the website to go. Premier Investments in Wealth Management. Call 800-383-6590. Make your appointment either online at PremierIWM.com or over the phone. Again, 800-383-6590. Premier Investments in Wealth Management, named to Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Teams. Jonas, question for you from Emma. I recently met with a retirement advisor who told me I should reduce how much I am putting into retirement. Red flag.
What?
Red flag. For context,
Oh, maybe not.
I'm 37, saving 23% of my paycheck in my 401k and putting an additional $250 a month into a separate Roth. I make $54,000 a year. I'm in a field that likely won't pay much more than I'm earning now. I ran some retirement calculators, and with what I'm saving now, I'm projected to have about $1.5 million in retirement, which I don't feel is all that much. The advisor said I should back down how much I'm saving for retirement and focus on saving for a house and to have more money just to enjoy life. Is he right?
This is, first off, a great job, Emma, saving money. I think that this is great. Looking at the great savings rate, we need to determine if it's the right level of savings for you based on your long-term goals and really how you're living today, your short-term lifestyle and your lifestyle in retirement. I really don't like recommendations that say reduce saving money or switch what you're doing right now. I personally, in my opinion, I wouldn't change anything. I would focus on your lifestyle. Your current lifestyle right now, are you living on your advisor's recommending a reduction in your 401k contributions? Are you living on hot dogs and ramen noodles right now? Are you that destitute of a lifestyle right now to where you need to ramp things up? And if not, if you're actually saving more than you're spending right now, I've determined just from my experience over the last 30 years, the most financially successful people that I've met, no matter what their income, and I think that $54,000 a year is a great income. The most financially successful people that I've met are always saving more than they spend. So at age 37, I have to believe you're well ahead of your peers. Again, current lifestyle compared to retirement lifestyle, if you're going to have projected about $1.5 million in retirement at age 37, you're going to have some Social Security. I think that you don't have to really change a thing at this point because you have a successful habit of saving right now. I would look at focusing on your lifestyle now and your lifestyle in retirement. And if anything, maybe you could ramp it up, Doug. Do some more. You're already financially successful right now.
This is interesting because I said red flag and you said maybe not, Roger.
It depends because it's all based on lifestyle, like what they want to get out of her life.
Yeah.
My question that we don't have any background information
Right.
on, does she want to buy a house? Does she have kids? Does she have a family? I gather from this, she's single and she rents. When somebody says, well, or an advisor would jump out there and say, you need to save money for a down payment on the house. Was that because she wants a house or the advisor thinks she should own a house? The one thing people forget about home ownership, whatever the payment is, double it.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's going to cost to own that house. So with $54,000 a year, realistically, let's just use some numbers.
Yeah.
She needs to keep her housing cost at 25% of that.
Okay.
So it's like $1,000 a month. Well, call it $1,250 a month for housing, utilities, everything. No way is she going to stay there and still be able to save what she's saving. And for some people, a home's not a priority. They don't want to have the maintenance. They don't want to do the work. They would rather rent.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to know, is the house her priority or the advisor's priority? Because we've talked on the show a lot. Your home is not an investment. It's an investment in your lifestyle, but it is not an investment that you're going to turn into tangible cash in the future and use to retire.
If you do, you're lucky. Really, that's what it comes down to.
Well, you won't be able to because you're at the rent somewhere then.
I guess you're right about that. This is what's interesting, too, because we're having this great national debate over home ownership because the average age first home owner, a decade, 2 decades ago, was like 32. It's now 40.
It's 40.
It's 40 years old. That's the average age of the first home buyer when they purchase their first home.
Do you think it's only unaffordability, or do you think some of it is people have realized what I realized, that house is not an investment.
Yeah.
It's an investment in your lifestyle.
Right. If you want that lifestyle, because in addition to being someplace like for us, hey, it's more than our domicile. It is the place. People go by and they look at, ooh, they like it. We like that, and we like keeping it up. But for somebody else, I mean, it may be a burden to them, because then they've got to figure out how am I going to get the grass done. And we just had 1.5 feet of snow. Who's going to come plow the snow and take care of that? What happens when the wind gets up to 70 miles an hour and blows the gutters off the side of the house? Lots of things that way. Jonas, did you have something you wanted to wrap up with?
Just keep going, Doug. The list goes on and on.
never stops.
I'm just
He's
listening and nodding. I'm like that.
Yep.
Thing on the
Yep.
on the top of the station wagon.
Hey,
Just kinda
exactly.
Good
nods.
example. We have a vacation place. We had a house. We went to a condo for that reason.
Yeah,
The house is 5 hours away. We couldn't maintain it. It was a huge pain.
right.
Now we have a
Exactly.
condo. We shut her up.
Mhm.
While we were sitting here, I just got a text. We're doing water checks today to make sure your heat's at the right level and your water's turned off. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because guess who doesn't have to do that?
You.
Me.
Yeah. That's
Well, I
great.
said at the last show, the buying a boat is. You taught me this, Roger. Break out
Break out another 1,000.
another
Yeah.
1,000.
It's probably
Yeah.
like another 10.
Acronym for home is holy cow, oh my gosh, more expenses.
Holy-
Casey loves that one. We miss Casey, but he loves that one. I was listening to the show the other night, and you did that one.
I'd never heard that one.
He
That's
got
awesome.
a kick out of that
Well,
one.
it's true. It never stops. Like, even if you buy a new house, it doesn't
Right.
stop. It's
No.
I have a friend of mine. His son bought his first house. He called me up, said, "What do you think?" And him and his fiance, they have a good income.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "Oh, it's going to be like $1,700 a month." I'm like, "Oh, no, it's not." He says, "It's going to be $4,000."
Yeah.
He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "This house is 40 years old.
Yeah.
It's going to be $4,000 a month."
Mm-hmm.
Well, sure enough, they're in there. Guess what they needed? A fence.
Mm-hmm.
Now they need a water heater. They've been there like a month.
Right.
It's just going to keep going.
Yeah. That's when my kid decided he was going to buy a house. Was like, okay, here's what you look at. And we had that same conversation. Every dollar you put into that, you need to put at least 50% of what that is. Just stick it away for right now, because they did a lot of upgrades. You're going to need that money. You're going to need to pile it up. And it doesn't matter whether it's, if you stick it in the pillow or if you put it in a, CD, whatever it is, just make sure that you're doing that. See, this is kind of the common sense stuff that you get at Premier Investments in Wealth Management. So thank you so much, Emma, for that question. I hope that you get everything figured out. I think maybe you need to kick the tires another wealth advisor, because, if they're telling you to buy a house because they think you should buy a house, who's doing your investment plan, you or them? It should be you through Premier Investments in Wealth Management.
I actually have a customer story very similar to this, except I did recommend that they get a new house.
Yeah.
So, husband and wife, 3 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they're late 30s. They have over $1 million saved. They are doing everything right, and they have a good income. Well, one stays home, but they're making $100,000+.
Yeah.
They're living in like a 1,400 square foot house with 3 kids. They're like on top of themselves.
That they are.
And I had the discussion. We ran their financial plan based on what their goals were and said, guys, you can pack down what you're saving and get your family a house so your kids don't have to share a room.
Yeah.
And the wife had been waiting for permission to do this.
Yeah.
But they're super fit, no debt. The house is paid for. Like they don't have any debt, nothing.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, you should probably do this. You should get a place to get your family in a comfortable spot. And there's cases where we will recommend people dial it down, but it's typically because they started so young and accumulated so much so quickly
Right.
that now, truth be told, if they never save another dollar,
Yeah.
it likely wouldn't matter.
What you reminded me of, Roger, is what we do sometimes, and we don't even know it, but sometimes we do financial counseling. You have a husband and wife. They have different goals, and they don't want to fight about it, but they want to talk to somebody about it that's not their neighbor, their relative, people that are all these people that they talk to that are so biased. They come in. I had a different situation, but very similar. I had a customer up north, and she did a great job saving money. And she asked me, she doesn't have any beneficiaries, and I turned into a financial counselor. She asked me, a question. She said, do I need to start spending more money? I don't have any beneficiaries. And I said, well, yeah, probably so. But that was a question. I was just kind of delighted with the question.
Yeah.
That was a question I know that she couldn't ask anybody else but me.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of this, too, ends up being financial counseling. But I'm glad that you were able to help that couple get into a bigger house.
That's
because
awesome.
I think that's going to
Financial friends with benefits, really. That's what it comes down to. In a good way.
Okay.
In a wholesome
sure
way.
this-
Wholesome way.
Keep us on air, Doug.
All right.
Wholesome way. Yeah, exactly.
Anything
This is
goes on.
G-rated.
It's a holiday show, Doug.
Exactly. The only other thing that I would say with regard to this is that it's also important to think about the exiting the home, because you know what, there are people that they've had homes that they've had for years that they had when they had 3, 4, 5 kids. That's way too much house for you at some point, and you're going to have to be trying to maintain it. That's also something my friends from Premier Investments and Wealth Management can talk to you about, to counsel you about, and give you the permission to do the things you want. Like, how much can I move to a condo? What's it going to be able to cost? How am I going to be able to afford this? These are the kind of things you count on my friends at Premier Investments and Wealth Management for. Make your appointment today at premieriwm.com. Create a step-by-step profile for your retirement, no matter what it is, for the big purchases in your life, whether it's your first house or maybe you're getting a second house or maybe you're putting the kids through college. PremierIWM.com or call 800-383-6590. That's 800-383-6590. Premier Investments and Wealth Management named to Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Team. Roger Abel, question for you from Carrie, who says, I'm 72 and starting to put together a plan to find someone who can help my wife manage her finances after my death. I manage our brokerage accounts and IRAs online. My wife is anti-tech and has never been interested in dealing with any of the finances. We've got 4 kids, 2 that I would potentially trust to help, but they live out of state. I've worked with a firm in the past, but I thought they were too expensive. I'm curious what you have seen to be successful for other couples.
We've ran into this a lot. I think what you're doing is good in being proactive to find somebody to turn over the work you've done over your lifetime to help your spouse. And I think one of the questions here is you asked, what have you seen other successful couples do? One of the first things I would ask, Carrie, is what does too expensive mean? Like, were you paying a 5% commission? Were you doing advisory? Kind of like what was happening that you thought it was too expensive? Because most data shows that a financial advisor generates north of 3% of value per year. So I'm trying to figure out what this advisor, that's a Vanguard study that's out there. You can find it online.
Okay.
That said, how do you transition it? This may be a situation where maybe you transition 1 or 2 accounts. They say, hey, I'm willing to pay an advisor, test run this relationship and get my wife comfortable working with somebody. Now, it doesn't have to be all or none. Most advisors would take your IRA account, let's say. They manage your RMDs for you, whatever it is.
Yeah.
They can take them for a desk drive. And I've seen that in the past. And a lot of times what happens, they end up turning over everything over a period of time because one thing's going to happen. Our mental faculties, you're 72 and you're on the ball now. In 4 years, you might not be.
Yeah.
And that might be another reason for you to explore hiring a financial advisor now, so that when you're not capable of doing it, somebody else is already there and you're not trying to select somebody.
Yeah. It's interesting. I had somebody close to me who had a similar situation, roughly around the same age, and they thought they had a lot more time than they did. Then they were diagnosed with terminal cancer, and they continued to just sort of string things out a little bit further, and they ended up going to the grave without having completed the one job they wanted to take care of, was make sure that all of the things were buttoned up. And it became difficult because you had somebody, the surviving spouse, who was intelligent, but not the financial one in the family. And so having to turn around and then rely on people, from a long distance away who they may have met once or twice but didn't have a relationship with, it can be really kind of a difficult thing.
That's a great point, Doug. And I think that it's very common to have one financial driver in the household, and you don't want to fix your snowblower during a snowstorm. Basically, you want to do this planning ahead of time. That's why I really like Carrie's question here. It's such a common question. I would think that Carrie could get a financial plan for little or no cost and kind of determine who he wants to work with. And ultimately, it's got to be somebody that the wife likes. But the cost, thanks to the microchip, Doug, the cost of financial planning has come down. That Carrie could go in and get a financial plan even before he decided to work with somebody.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we've had situations, Roger, you've had numerous situations where we have really smart gentlemen come in. We have super savvy, smart guys come in alone. And the number one question we ask them is,
Where's your spouse?
Where's your spouse? There's no way to do a financial plan without the spouse.
There's four things that people should think about here. There really are, because I don't care who you are. At some point, you can't do this yourself. Seriously. Like, you can. If you're 80 years old and you start to have dementia, you trust yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you won't know. You'll still think you can do it, but you probably
but
can't.
you won't realize
So you should have a plan. There's an added benefit to work with an advisor. It's simplified account structure, right? We're getting everything combined into one spot. Also, Carrie, you should have a clear checklist or after me guide. In my house, it's the blue book.
I was going to bring
the blue book. If something happens, here's everything. And guess what's on the first page? Here's the people to call. Even if the document's not in there, they'll help you locate it. What's in there? Life insurance, investments, all the legal documents, who the auto and home is with, like all those things that can help carry you through. It's probably the most important part of this.
My blue book has a picture of you and Mark Hunter kind of chopped up side by side. And they're glamour shots too. They're very, very nice pictures of both of you.
Yeah. Here's the other thing too, Carrie. You know, I think sometimes, and you've done a good job accumulating assets, you've done a good job investing your money, it's hard to pass the torch. You know, and when someone comes in here and has done everything themselves, they want to turn it over. One of the things I let them know is, I'm not here to replace you. I'm here to complement you. We're not trying to replace what you've done. Let's complement what you're doing. And maybe there's investments out there you've never even considered. Maybe we help you with some of that stuff. So I think get involved, find someone your wife will trust, that you trust, that charges a fair fee. It's not going to be free, but it shouldn't be overly expensive.
Right.
And honestly, there's firms that'll probably negotiate the fee with you.
You know what, Carrie, love is patient, love is kind, love is making sure that you don't throw any extra weight on your spouse after you're gone. And if you don't want to make it, obviously crazy easy, but the whole point of it is that you love your wife and you want to make sure that she's well taken care of. This is where professionals can help. Premier Investments and Wealth Management professionals that you can count on. Just sit down and meet with them. Go to premieriwm.com. Even at 72, if you want to, just request a meeting and kick the tires. Sit down with them. They will give you a free, no obligation consultation. Go over your situation with you, and then they'll provide potential answer for you. And then you can make the decision on how you're going to move forward. But it all starts at premieriwm.com. Make your appointment online today or call 800-383-6590. That's 800-383-6590. This is Premier Investments in Wealth Management, named Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Team. Randy's got a question. We're going to spread this out between the two of you. I'm curious, with your years of experience, how often you see retirees needing to cut back on their spending after retirement. We're ready to retire, and we're worried about overspending. The number one thing I think that you've said to me in the past is that when you sit down with people and they're getting ready to do the retirement thing, Jonas, you say, what does your first year of retirement look like?
Yes, definitely, Randy. Walk us through your first year in retirement. What's your lifestyle look like? Are you going to buy a vineyard and a sailboat every month? Or are you going to hang out and maybe just clean the garage? There's going to be some different income levels that you're going to need for both of those situations. So start with your retirement lifestyle in retirement. couple of situations, ultimately, we would like to see you get a financial plan, but if you're just taking your interest and dividends off your investments, Doug, you're not going to run out of money, Randy, in retirement.
Yeah.
And if you have different sources of income, if you have Social Security, if you have a pension, but ultimately you have to take those things out in the correct order too. So this all leads back to a financial plan. But Randy, ultimately, if you're just taking interest in dividends out of your investments, you're not going to run out of money in retirement. However, an upside down question, I have seen situations where people have run out of money in retirement. And the big risk that people have that lead them to run out of money in retirement is using their retirement as a piggy bank, Doug.
Okay.
They take lump sums out of their retirement. I had a situation where it was a perfectly sweet person. We did the whole plan, and ultimately I received a phone call that said I need $25,000 for a retaining wall. I said, well, is there any other sources, any other avenues that we can take to pay for this? Because it's going to trigger about $15,000. You're going to rob your retirement of about $40,000 at that point. Nope. Got to have a retaining wall. So sent the $25,000 out, received a phone call the next year, needing another lump sum for guess what was due?
Taxes.
The taxes were due. Uncle Sam kept calling. So it was a vicious cycle. And ultimately, the account is basically down to zero at this point. So, Randy, to answer your question, the biggest risk is taking lump sums out of your retirement account.
One of the things that you do when you say, take me through what that first year looks like for you in your retirement, Roger, you're trying to capture an idea of what their spending situation is going to look like.
Personally, when I do this, I want to break it into 3 categories. What do I need from the day I retire to the day I die? That doesn't include vacations and gifts. That's food, shelter, insurance, the necessities of life. And for me, necessities of life are still going to Starbucks and having,
lifestyle, reasonable
lifestyle. Then I want to focus on what are the wants in retirement? How often do I want to travel? Where do I want to go? What do I want to accomplish? And then after that, what are the things I wish I could do that maybe I don't believe are possible? So I want to break it into those categories. What that does, it really helps you front load retirement. Most people don't really need as much long-term money as they think. They need more upfront and less long-term. You take a look at people 80 to 90 years old, their spending patterns are drastically different than someone in their 60s. I would agree with Jonas that first, most people that we work with typically don't have to cut back their lifestyle because we're crafting a plan kind of based upon how they're living now, unless they've just done a really poor job saving.
Yeah.
And you can fix that by getting a plan done sooner rather than later. I mean, start this process in your 30s is a perfect time.
Okay.
But the individuals I work with, and I can think of about 2 or 3 examples that run out of money. It is exactly what Jonas said. It is lump sum distributions or living a lifestyle that they never lived before.
Yeah.
We try to talk to people. If Elias was here, he would tell you it's called the talk. If someone overspends 1 year, okay, that happens. You're excited. But if it's a pattern, we're going to have a talk and let you know this likely isn't sustainable. And I've had the talk with people, and I had someone once tell me, well, we just kind of like what we're doing. They ran out of money.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's your money. Ultimately, my job is to guide you, help you make decisions. And in their defense, they're not in the greatest health anyway. So they probably did get it all done when they should have done it.
Yeah.
Is it fun to be out of money? No, they still have Social Security. But most people, if you've done a plan, you don't need to worry about running out. But lump sum overspending is the one. I need a new car. I'm paying cash. I need new cabinets. I need a Jeep. I need a tractor.
I need.
But you never needed it when you were working.
Right.
Because you didn't have, the $2 million piggy bank to go crack into.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? This is neat. If you're looking for somebody who's going to work with you and really kind of hold you accountable too. I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. It is your money. It's your plan. After all, it's not theirs. but you want somebody to help you grow that and then help you preserve it and spend it wisely, thriftily, to try to protect you from tax disadvantage, things like that. You need professionals on your side that are willing to have the talk with you, like my friends at Premier Investments and Wealth Management. PremierIWM.com. You can go there and you can make an appointment with them online, or you can call today, 800-383-6590. That number, 800-383-6590. Roger, let's come back to you for a question from Avery, who asks, my wife and I have about 50% of our portfolio invested in stocks. I think the stock market's in an AI bubble right now, and it's going to crash soon. I know you can't time the market, but I'm still trying to convince my wife we should reduce our exposure. Curious what your thoughts are for retirees who may not have 10 years to wait for the market to recover after a major crash. A really good question, especially because they identify and they know that upslope after you have a big crash like that. But he says, don't think I got 10 years to do it.
First, I don't think it takes 10 years to recover. The data would tell us that's not the case. The data would tell us that the average bear market recovery is a little over 300 days, the longest being 956 days. That's about 3 years.
Okay.
That's the first thing.
Okay.
People have been predicting a stock market crash like this for the last 8 years. Nobody knows what's going to happen. The challenge is you're trying to time the market. That rarely works. Statistically, your chance of timing the market is 0.0 with 213 zeros before the next number. So
whatever that number is.
So getting in and out isn't what's going to make you successful. We look at like Dalbar Research. They research what average investors do versus just the S&P 500. They underperform by 50%. It's because they make changes like this. I understand you're concerned. What I would suggest you do is, one, sit down and segment your money by responsibilities, which is what we do with the bucket strategy.
Okay.
1 to 3 years of cash that you need for spending, then income money, and then growth money, which is 6+ years.
The 1 to 3 years of the cash is stuff that you want to make sure you have, that it's non-volatile. It's something it's cash, literally. It's cash or cash equivalent.
Cash equivalents, for sure.
Yeah. That's not in the market or anything like that.
The whole reason we do it, average bear market recovery. So market goes down 20%, average time to get back, a year. That's 1 year. 3 years covers great financial crisis. Okay. I think the other thing to ask is, you said you don't know if you have 10 years to recover. Well, do you need all of your money in the next 10 years? Because if you don't, then your time horizon is not 10 years. Like, are you 60? Are you 70? Do you have beneficiaries? Do you have kids? I have a great story about this guy I go to hunting camp with. We were talking about an individual stock and some fundamentals. He goes, yeah, his is kind of overpriced. This is like 2 years ago. The stock is up substantially since then. He goes, I don't think that I have that, but that's outside my time horizon because I'm 58. Like, I don't have that amount of time. I go, what are you talking about? Because he has amount of money he'll never spend. This is going to his kids.
Right.
I go, your kid's 28.
Yeah.
He's got a 50-year time horizon. And he never thought about it that way. He looked at me, he's like, I never thought about it that way. It's not really for my benefit. It's for his benefit.
Yeah.
Because people just look at their money and all of their money is just a big pile. When you start to break it down, you can give it responsibility. So you can look and say, hey, do I need 50% of my money in the next 6 to 7 years? And if not, then you should be okay with this. That's step one. Step two, you could, if you have a big exposure to technology or AI, which I'm kind of assuming they do if they're asking this question, you could be in the stock market in different asset classes and lower your exposure to AI.
Right.
You don't have to get out of the stock market. You could go to a different part of the stock market or a different asset class and have less AI exposure. How we determine what people should be doing, figure out what your risk capacity is. How much risk do you have to take?
Yeah.
Do a financial plan. If you need to have 50% in the stock market based upon your goals, your priorities, and what you want to do in life, then you need to have 50% and hire an advisor to help allocate and work around situations like that. But just getting out of the stock market rarely works.
Yeah. And Jonas, I know that you're a big fan of haystacks, but one of the difficulties is that you can find out that you can be invested in multiple different kind of funds. You need to know what's underneath the hood of those funds, because you have may be invested in the same sort of thing. So he may have 4 or 5 different things, and they all have significant AI investments underneath the hood.
Absolutely. I mean, you need to determine what your risk is. We call it our cholesterol check, our blood pressure check. We have a third-party rating system that looks at, you remember the old Consumer Reports magazines, Doug, where before you bought a
refrigerator.
Yeah, refrigerator. You looked at that. Well, we have that. We have a third-party company called Morningstar that analyzes all the funds, and people can determine what their risk is. And I think that Avery really needs to do this, but also she needs to do exactly what Roger did and have a deer stand financial plan. Ultimately, somebody to talk to
Deer stand
about what
plan.
her financial goals are at the end of the day. I mean, Roger did a financial plan in a deer stand. She just needs somebody to talk to her about her goals. And you know what? If she is nervous about the stock market, a very good financial advisory firm will take that into consideration. Right. And then you could always start peeling back and being less conservative, or being more conservative at this point, maybe lock in some profits. Ultimately, it's her financial plan. If she's concerned about the stock market right now, she's not the only one. I get calls like this about 10 to 20 times a week.
I want to make a comment. You made a good point. If you do a financial plan, and Avery could be 100% cash and still accomplish everything she wants, that's permission to become more conservative. It's not always, you have to be more aggressive. Avery might be in a situation to become way more conservative. You just don't know until you run the plan.
Yeah.
And just doing things because you think something is going to happen, it typically is not going to work. I'll never forget, heading into 2024, I had an individual come into my office in January, and he's like, "Hey, I know the market's going to crash." The exact words, and his wife was with him.
Yeah.
And we both kind of looked. I said, "Well, how do you know?" And he listed like 5 things. I said, "But how do you know the market's going to crash?" "Well, I just know." "Well, what did 2024 do?" 20+%.
Boom.
What we did is we found some products that had some protection for them to get them through. Really, they were really happy they did it, because his exact words, "Well, we buy now, we'll sell now, we'll buy in lower." I go, "You don't know it's going down. So you don't know what's going to happen. Figure out your risk capacity." That's really the ticket to freedom in retirement.
Premier Investments and Wealth Management, I mean, they'll sit down with you and you have these conversations. It's phenomenal to be able to do that and have somebody that you can sit face-to-face with. You can do it in person. You could do it over the internet and Teams, Zoom, whatever you do. But if you want to get a head start on that right now, go to premieriwm.com, download the Investor's Guide to Market Volatility. If it's something you're concerned about, you need to review where you are and figure out just exactly where you want to go. Start out by downloading the Investor's Guide to Market Volatility, and then make your appointment at Premier Investments and Wealth Management website, premieriwm.com, or by calling 800-383-6590. That's 800-383-6590. Premier Investments and Wealth Management, named to Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Team. Let's see, getting down to the end of the questions here. Mike asks, looking to buy my first house, is there any difference between getting a 30-year mortgage and paying it off in 15 years versus just getting a 15-year mortgage? Are there pros and cons to either way?
There is, Mike. Very good question. Very intelligent question. A 15-year mortgage is usually going to have a lower interest rate. And ultimately, obviously, you're going to pay your house off faster. So I call it kind of the avocado rule. You split the avocado open. And the good part, you're saving a little bit more than half. This is a rule of thumb, a little bit more than half on the interest that you're paying over a 15-year mortgage versus a 30-year mortgage. Okay. But there are pros and cons. Ultimately, you're going to have a higher monthly payment, obviously, with a 15-year mortgage. A 30-year mortgage is more flexible. You're going to have a lower payment, probably a little bit higher interest rate. You're going to have more flexibility when you're looking at making extra payments on that 30-year mortgage, Doug, you're going to have more flexibility on making extra payments. This is a situation where coulda, woulda, shoulda. I was in the similar situation. I was looking at a 15-year mortgage and a 30-year mortgage. I opted for the 30-year mortgage to pay extra, and ultimately it worked out okay. But if I would have had a 15-year mortgage, I think, Roger, that would have been a little bit better for me, because I think that higher number, I could have adjusted my lifestyle around that higher mortgage payment and almost form like an anchor for me to like work around that higher payment. But I like what Roger said in an earlier show, that you don't just look at the mortgage payment, look at the home that you're buying and double whatever expenses that you think you have to make. If you think you can basically swing a 15-year mortgage, double that. And I like your idea too, Doug. If you can afford $1,500 a month, if your son can afford $1,500 a month, make sure that he has an extra $500 to $700 to put somewhere, because ultimately, if you have a $500,000 home that you're looking at, you're going to have 3%, up to 3% a year just in the basic expenses, and that's rates, insurance, property, taxes, all of that good stuff.
Okay.
So you're going to have about 3% expenses on that. And take a look, too, Mike, take a look at your job security and your income right now. If you have a very, very secure job, I think that there's pros and cons on the 15 and the 30-year mortgage, but I would probably lean you towards a 15-year mortgage.
Interesting. It works. Okay. God forbid a 50-year mortgage. Question 7.
They're coming.
Oh, no, please.
Disaster.
I hope not. Jonas, this one's for you from Parker. My girlfriend's going to get about $250,000 at the end of the year from a trust that her grandparents set up for her. She has no idea what to do with it. We're currently renting, don't really have an interest in buying. She's got other debt. What should she do with the money?
Yeah, I like what Roger said. Anytime you get a windfall, just take a deep breath and don't do anything for a while, maybe 3 to 6 months. Just put it in the bank and start writing down some of your short-term and long-term goals. Ultimately, this is going to lead to some type of a bucket strategy. If you come in and get financial advice, we're going to talk about a bucket strategy. If you want to do it on your own, you're going to do a bucket strategy. So you're going to have a short-term bucket, a medium-term bucket, and something to put away for retirement. There's not a lot of information here, Parker, that we're not sure if you need to buy a home or if you have any big financial purchases, if you want to try to save for college. But if you work with a really good financial advisory firm, you can cover all of those bases by getting a financial plan. But the opportunity, I think, when you're getting a lump sum, Doug, it's there, it's real. Mm-hmm. And Parker, this is something that the millennials and even us Gen Xers, Doug, we're going to get trillions of dollars in inheritances, and you need to plan for it.
Yeah. It's interesting. We're going to go to the final question in a second, but something I just have to interject here. I've got a friend who, similar situation, they got married in college. He and his wife got married when they were in college, and her grandparents had set up that she had a trust that would come to her after she graduated from college. If she went to college, fine, everything's good. And so they get the money. They're like, well, what are we going to do with the money? They bought her grandparents' Lake Okoboji cottage for $250,000, and it's now worth $1.5 million.
The land's probably worth $1.5 million.
I mean, they've updated and they've expanded it too, but it's like, I mean, it's just when they took their time though, because they were still in college when that money came to her, and she was like, we're going to sit on it. They put it somewhere. They put it somewhere where they couldn't get at it. They were smart. They just said, set over here. I don't want to be able to see that money. It can be an attractant for people.
I think that's a great point, Doug. How many times, Roger, have people perceive their inheritance almost to the point to where there's so many heartstrings there, they don't want to touch it at all. They don't want to include it in their financial plan. They don't know what to do with it. They don't even want to talk about it. They don't want to plan for it. They don't want to do anything with it. That's one way that we help people.
I have a lot of people who've inherited stock or securities of some kind from parents they set it up in a separate account with their kids as the beneficiary, and they're trying to hand them down because they want to see what does this keep growing to if we just don't touch it. And it's just kind of this snowball effect from generation to generation.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's interesting when you see that they've got so many years of experience of Premier Investments in wealth management, premieriwm.com. The next question, Jill wants to know, you talked about helping aging parents with their finances to reduce their risk of scams. Could you share more insight on how to spot potential scams and the best ways to protect ourselves? Roger?
As everybody knows, scams are getting better, more sophisticated, AI. Just a matter of time before AI takes hold in the scam world.
Yeah.
It's going to sound like your grandma or your grandson, going to sound completely legit. I think there's some red flags that everybody should be aware of. And one, and I think this is the most important one, if there's a sense of urgency, meaning you have to do this now or act now, don't tell anybody. Those are all red flags. They threaten that you're going to be in trouble. Those are red flags. If you don't expect this contact, get an email or a text message or a voicemail.
Right, out of the blue.
Yeah, out of the blue. Well, why? And I get calls all the time from the debt relief counselor and tax, whatever they're called. I mean, like hundreds a day. It's crazy. So I got one. This is like 8 months ago. It's like, you're behind in your federal taxes. So you know what I did? Yeah. I logged into my account because I'm like, this is weird. What's out there? Of course, I wasn't.
Right. But you didn't press the thing on the screen.
No, I went to irs.gov and I logged in. Not everybody has that account. I logged in. I'm like, is something going on that I don't know about? Like, I was concerned somebody stole my identity, filed a tax, did something. But that's a good point. Don't ever trust, just verify. Don't click the links. If you get a text message, don't respond back. The big one going on now, I've probably got 3 in the last 2 weeks. Yeah. Hey, you're running late. Are you still coming to the party?
Oh my God. Yes.
They're vague and they want you to respond. And they're like, oh, I was sitting in that chair doing a podcast with Elias and I got one.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, hey, are you coming to the barbecue? I'm like, and this is like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I wasn't invited. He goes, oh, you should come anyway. I'm like, really? Where's it at? He goes, Los Angeles. They're like, what's your name? I'm like, all right, time to stop this conversation.
Exactly. Jonas, let's talk a little bit in the couple of minutes we have left about, for our parents or seniors, grandparents, some of the things that they need to have as far as the armor to keep them.
Like Roger said, don't give confidential information. If it sounds unusual, make sure that your parent calls you up. And really take a look at the past behavior. If it's a financial institution that you've trusted before, did business with, I've had situations to where I had a customer get scammed because she had an old credit card that she didn't know about. And ultimately she was scammed. And I told her eventually, like Roger said, everybody's going to get scammed sooner or later. So never, the parent never give confidential information. Have them hang up, and then Mary, if you could be a second set of eyes somehow to her. I had my customer was a joint owner on a checking account for her mom, and ultimately that is one way to do it. And I think that second set of eyes to where your mom's calling you if she gets any type of uneasy feeling,
right,
that she could call Mary up and talk to her about it.
Exactly.
And Mary could be the second set of eyes.
Ultimately, don't bust your parents' chops. You love them. You want them to be able to feel free to come to you. And if you bust their chops about the whole thing, they may get reticent, and that might end up with them at the wrong end of a scam. And you don't want that. Go to premieriwm.com. You can download their scam awareness checklist. Make copies of it. Put one up in the fridge over at your mom or dad's place. Tell you what, call to make your appointment, 800-383-6590, or do it online at premieriwm.com. Thanks for joining us. For Jonas, Everett, Roger, Abel, my name's Doug Wagner. We'll talk to you again next week.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments in Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide specific individualized tax or legal advice. We suggest that you discuss your specific situation with a qualified tax or legal advisor. Rebalancing a portfolio may cause investors to incur tax liabilities and or transaction costs and does not assure a profit or protect against loss. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal. There is no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. Prior to investing in a 529 plan, investors should consider whether the investor's or designated beneficiary's home state offers any state tax or other state benefits such as financial aid, scholarship funds, and protection from creditors that are only available for investments in such state's qualified tuition program. Withdrawals used for qualified expenses are federally tax-free. Tax treatment at the state level may vary. Please consult with your tax advisor before investing. Forbes' Best in State Wealth Management Teams ranking was developed by Shook Research and is based on in-person, virtual, and telephone due diligence meetings and a ranking algorithm that includes a measure of each team's best practices, client retention, industry experience, review of compliance records, firm nominations, and quantitative criteria, including assets under management and revenue generated for their firm. Investment performance is not a criterion because client objectives and risk tolerances vary, and advisors rarely have audited performance reports. Shook's research and rankings provide opinions intended to help investors choose the right financial advisor and team, and are not indicative of future performance or representative of any one client's experience. Past performance is not an indication of future results. Neither Forbes nor Shook Research receive compensation in exchange for placement on the ranking. For more information, please see www.shookresearch.com. Shook is a registered trademark of Shook Research, LLC.